Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Paul Nicolau. I'm the Master of Ceremonies for this evening's function. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you here to the Australian National Maritime Museum. On behalf of Kevin Sumption, the Director of the Museum, Dr. Stavros Kyrimis, the Consul General of Greece, the President, Chairman of the Joint Committee of the Commemoration of the Battle of Crete and the Greek Campaign, James Jordan, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you here for this special reception to launch a new photographic exhibition by Cheryl Ward, The Anzacs in Greece Then and Now, with the kind support of Brad Manera, the Senior Historian Curator at the Anzac Memorial. Friends, before I start the formalities, may I take this opportunity to acknowledge some of our special guests that are with us here this evening. The first one is the Very Reverend Father Stephen Skoutas, representing the Archbishop Stavros from the Greek Orthodox Archdiocese of Australia. A special welcome to Father Stephen. Could I also acknowledge Darryl Maguire, the Parliamentary Secretary for Veteran Affairs, representing the Minister for Veteran Affairs in New South Wales, the Honourable David Elliott, MP. Could I also acknowledge the presence of a number of other special guests that are here this evening, especially the Lieutenant General Konstantinos Katsianis, who's come from Greece, who's with us, and also the Presidential Guard that are next to me on either side of the stage. Could I also acknowledge Alf Carpenter, one of the last veterans of World War II who fought in the Battle of Crete, and we welcome Alf Carpenter, who's with us here. We've also got with us John Pegg, whose father worked and fought with Alf Carpenter here as well this evening. We've got Colin Farrell, the Chief Operating Officer of the Ramsgate RSL Memorial Club with us. We have Jennifer Collins, the Deputy Commissioner of the DVA in New South Wales and the ACT. We have John McLennan, the New South Wales Centenary of Anzac Ambassador and the Deputy Chair of Red Cross. We have Nicholas Pappas, the former Chair of the National Maritime Museum. We have Mr. Bill Kotsovolis, the President of the Greek RSL. We have Catherine Choice, a veteran descendant who's with us as well. Ian Crawford, the Rear Admiral of the Royal Australian Navy and the New South Wales Centenary of Anzac Ambassador. We have John Comodo, the President of the Hellenic Club and the sponsor of the Hellenic Presidential Guard's trip to Australia. We have Brian Robson, the Mayor of Canterbury. We have Charles Cassicelli, former State Member for Stratfield and CEO of Wesrock. We have the Commanding Officer of the Defence Force School of Policing at Lamia Barracks, Ian Watt. We have Bill Maroukas, who's a councillor representing the Mayor of Waverley Council. We have Stephanie Kokolis from Council of Stratfield. We have Nick Adniatakis, the Secretary of the Joint Committee of the Greek Campaign and the Battle of Crete. We have Nick Vivaris, the Federal Member for Barton. We have Captain Paul O'Grady from the Royal Australian Navy, representing the HMS Perth, Commander Stephen Towns, Commanding Lieutenant from Michelle Orr from HMS Stewart, Lieutenant Rebecca Holmes from HMS Parramatta, and Lieutenant Hugh Clifford from HMAS Yarra. Please put your hands together and welcome all of our special guests that are here this evening. As I said, this is a very special occasion, and it now gives me great pleasure to call on the Director of the Australian National Maritime Museum, Kevin Sumption, to welcome us and also to introduce our first speaker. Kevin.
Thank you, Paul. And I'd just like to begin by acknowledging the Gadigal people as the traditional custodians of not only the land upon which we meet, but also very importantly the waters on which we meet this evening. And I also acknowledge all traditional custodians of the lands and waters throughout Australia, and I pay my respects to them and their cultures, to their elders both past and present. Distinguished guests, there are so many of you here this evening, and I thank you for taking time to come to the museum this evening for this very important function. On behalf of the Council, and in particular I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to you all from our Chairman, Mr. Peter Dexter, who apologises for not being able to be here this evening, but a warm welcome to you all also from the staff of the Australian National Maritime Museum. It's really a true honour to welcome you all here this evening for the opening of our exhibition titled Crete, 1941, Then and Now. And we were very lucky a few moments ago to go with Cheryl, the photographer whose work we're celebrating this evening, upstairs to have a look at these important images. And a little later on you'll also get that same chance. I'd also like to just take a little bit of time to talk very briefly about the building that you're meeting in this evening. This is a brand new facility here at the Australian National Maritime Museum. We only opened it in November last year, and in a little under 5 months we've had 80,000 people come through this new building, which was built very specifically to talk about 100 years of Royal Australian Navy history. It is clearly a building which also gives you access to our destroyer, HMAS Vampire, and our submarine HMAS Onslow, but it's actually a building that first and foremost is about honouring the service of the men and women who have served in the Royal Australian Navy this 100 years. So a particular thanks to the Royal Australian Navy personnel who are here, as this is very much their building. This display of Cheryl's photographic works would not have been possible without the important support of Stavros and his colleagues at the Greek Consulate, as well as, very importantly for us, the Joint Committee for Commemoration of the Battle of Crete and the Greek campaign. So thanks to you in particular. Today is obviously a very important day as we take a moment to commemorate and remember the brave servicemen who served in Greece in World War II 75 years ago. The Anzacs are undoubtedly very famous for their actions, particularly in World War I, but unfortunately less well known is the story of the Anzac Corps that was created to fight in Greece in World War II. Some 17,000 Australians joined Greek forces to fight in the battles of Greece and Crete in April through to May 1941, and 646 of those men lost their lives. Also importantly, Australians' ships, HMAS Perth, HMAS Stuart and HMAS Yarra, also took part in the Greek campaign, especially in the evacuation of Greece, and we are very delighted and honoured to have representatives from those ships' companies with us here today. And tonight I'm also proud of the small part the museum plays in making sure that these stories are better known. The museum is very fortunate. We have over 600,000 visitors a year, and I'm hoping many of those will take the opportunity to learn more about, particularly the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Crete. It's also important that I acknowledge the very heavy price that the Greek forces paid in those battles and pay tribute to their sacrifice. We also recognise, the museum recognises, the support and assistance provided to the Anzacs by the Cretan civilians, harbouring them and often suffering at the hands of the enemy by refusing to give them up. This small display is a moving commemoration that is made up of images that juxtapose 1941 with 2015. And they're very powerful and moving images because they put you in the landscape today, so to speak, and they transport you back in time to a moment, a frightening moment. And they're a very effective and very moving creative piece that I'm sure when Cheryl shows us around later on, you'll see. So it's particularly important that I commend Cheryl for her insightful and very moving photographic art. Her historic black and white combination of images with today's colourful images of these landscapes is indeed very sombre and very powerful. I'd also like to recognise Brad Manera, for the critical role he played in putting this important display together. I am particularly pleased that we host this display here at the museum, because only last month it was my privilege to be in Athens talking to many of my colleagues about a future set of exhibitions that I hope to bring to the Maritime Museum, exploring contemporary as well as historic connections between Australia and Greece, and I can say more about that later on. Also, while I was in Athens, it was my true pleasure to be hosted by the Greek Navy and to be taken on board the battleship Stavros, which I'd have to say, as someone who looks after historic vessels, is one of the most impressive floating museums I've ever seen anywhere in the world. It is remarkable that this is maintained by the Greek naval forces, and while I was there, many hundreds of school students in particular were learning about the important role that that battleship had played. So on behalf of the Council and staff of the Australian National Maritime Museum, a warm welcome to you all, and I look forward to talking to you further when we go upstairs and appreciate Cheryl's wonderful works. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin. It now gives me great pleasure to call on Captain Paul O'Grady, representing the Australian Navy, to speak. Please put your hands together and welcome Captain Paul O'Grady.
Dr. Kyrimis, Mr. Sumption, General Gatsoutianis, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Greek community in Australia, good evening. It's a great pleasure to be here on behalf of the Fleet Commander and for my comrades from the Surface Force Headquarters to represent the Royal Australian Navy this evening. The Hellenic naval ship Georgios Stavros was an armoured cruiser that entered naval service in 1911. She participated in the Balkan Wars and was solely responsible for establishing sea control in the Aegean Sea. She helped defeat the Ottoman Navy and relegated them to the Dardanelles Straits, an area that Australians are well familiar with, because 2 years later is where the Anzacs obviously went to Gallipoli. It was from Mudros Harbour in Lemnos that they departed, and Australians also returned to Lemnos in hospitals where Australian nurses would serve them. So significant is this ship that every Hellenic Navy ship honours the Stavros while passing her. The Stavros has been restored as a museum in Greece, as you've just heard, in order to promote historical consolidation and upkeep of Greek naval tradition. The 4 flags of the Stavros will be presented to representatives from the 4 Australian ships whose predecessors made significant contributions to the war efforts in the Aegean Sea and the Greek campaign in both wars. HMAS Parramatta 1 served in the Aegean and the Ionian Seas in World War I. HMA ships Perth, Stewart and Yarra were part of the Scrap Iron Flotilla and key members of the Greek campaign and the evacuations from Crete and later Egypt. This generous gift of historical flags celebrates the strong and battle-proven cultural links between Australia and Greece. Modern Australia was born through immigration, including war-hardened Greek families that fought tooth and nail throughout Greece against the Axis forces. They also fought the Snowy Mountain scheme and the elements involved in that project. They helped to build the Sydney Harbour Bridge and earned our respect for their generosity, courtesy and social harmony in the suburbs of Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. Many families here tonight are both Greek and Australian in perfect harmony, and it is a pleasure to be honoured to receive this most auspicious gift that celebrates Anzacs in Greece. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. It now gives me great pleasure and honour to welcome Lieutenant General Konstantinos Katsianis to the stage to say a few words. Please put your hands together and welcome Lieutenant General Konstantinos Katsianis.
Director of this magnificent museum, Mr. Kevin Sumption, dear Consul General of Greece, Dr. Kyrimis, Patera Styliane, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor for me to be here in front of you, in front of the veterans and to all of you, representing my Chief of Defense, Admiral Apostolakis Evangelos, Hellenic Navy. Looking at this beautiful exhibition of photos, I'm reminded of the words of the Greek writer Zissimos Lorenzatos, who once said that there is no diving line between the living and the dead. Each living life is guided by past lives, and this is what constitutes tradition. The faces in these photos continue to live and will never die for as long as you and your children and your children's children continue to remember them and to honor them. So allow me to repeat my closing words at the Kenotaph on Saturday. The name Anzac is precious and beyond description. Hold it close and learn from it. Hold it closer and be inspired by it. Hold it within you and live by it. My nation's gratitude for the Anzac sacrifice is the gratitude of a brother. The Australian and New Zealanders that lie in our soil are family, and their sacrifice is inscribed not just on our monuments, but on our hearts. Continue to nurture your young with the Anzac spirit of sacrifice, daring and love of country, and your nation will be able to withstand all future challenges. The commemoration and celebration of the 75th anniversary of the Greek campaign and the Battle of Crete is significant, but just as significant will be the 76th and the 77th anniversaries in keeping alive the relationship between allies and brothers and sisters. Yesterday, the Presidential Guard, my escort officer, Lieutenant Colonel Vasilopoulos, and I were given a very warm welcome by officers and soldiers at Lamia Barracks, at Holsworthy. In their eyes, in their handshakes and their lively conversation, I too felt the same things our people felt in World War II, as they fought shoulder to shoulder with the Anzacs. And then, just as I thought everything was going well, they handed me a shovel and told me to start digging. Yeah. But that was okay, because digging a hole to plant an olive tree is a blessing. Thank you very much, Ian, for that. Tonight, this exhibition is another olive tree. Mr. Sumption, I understand that you have already visited Athens twice, as you said already, and Limnos once, and that you are supportive of an idea to create an open-air Anzac museum in Limnos. To this end, the skills and capabilities of the Greek armed forces are at the disposal of this very promising project, in particular for the Australian youth to keep alive the Anzac spirit, courage and sacrifice. But also the message of life, because Limnos is only a breath away from the hell the Anzacs experienced, a few nautical miles away at Anzac Cove on the other side of the sea. Once again, my congratulations to Cheryl, to the organizers here at the Australian National Maritime Museum, and to all of you for supporting this exhibition. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lieutenant General, and please pass on our thanks to the Greek government for allowing and bringing you all with the Presidential Guard to Australia for this special celebration that we have with us today. Now it gives me great pleasure to call on Dr. Stavros Kyrimis, the Consul General, to say a few words and to declare the exhibition open. Please put your hands together and welcome the Consul General.
Πάτερ Στυλιανέ, και μέσω εσάς τους χαιρετισμούς μας στον Σεβασμιότατο, ο οποίος όλοι γνωρίζουμε, ο πατέρας του υπήρξε θύμα της κτηνοδίας στο Ναζί κατά την μάχη της Κρήτης. Dear Kevin, friends of the Maritime Museum, friends from the Royal Australian Navy, κύριε Πιτελάρχα, κύριε Αντισταθματάρχη, κύριε Πολοχαγέ, εύζωρες της προεδρικής φρουράς, για τους οποίους όλοι οι ομογένειοι είναι πολύ περήφανοι. Dear friends from the Greek-Australian community, I would like to highlight the joint committee with Mr. Iordanidis and Mr. Andriotakis, who for so many years with the Cretan Association support the traveling of a 3-star general here in Australia, which is very important. And also the Hellenic Club, Mr. Komni was on there, Mr. Papas is here, and other members of the board of director, which done the best gift to me and to the community here with the Presidential Guard, this high holy symbol of our tradition, of our story and of our republic, and all of us will be very proud to be in the cenotaph today and to share as Australians and Greece this high honor that the Australians are doing to us, their cenotaph to be guarded by us. So it's a great honor for the Greco-Australian. It's something that I would like to encourage the whole community to continue and to support for the next year. It's extremely important for the next generation, the Australians of Greek heritage. I would like also to acknowledge our veterans, Alf, Margaret, all of you, for your efforts. In addition to the big vision mentioned by the General to have the open-air Anzac Museum in Limnos, a short-term objective that we have with the joint committee is with Alf to send 100 kids to Greece. David Elliott and Mike Daly as co-chairman of the NSW Friendship Group with Greece co-signed a letter sending to 93 MPs and copied to all MLCs of NSW. Each MP is kindly invited to select and sponsor a student, year 10 or year 11, to be sent last week of September, first week of October during the school holidays with Alf in Greece. Will be a unique experience of the Australian youth of NSW to travel with our beloved veteran that himself he would like to express, to explain and to transmit his spirit, his heart, his soul to the next generation. And the idea is that when they come back, we have a single volume of letters and photos and writing by Alf and from the students as one big memory of this travel. I would not like to add a lot about our flagship Averov. We'll offer after the flags to the Commander Fleet. As Commander Fleet, we'll offer a flag to the National Maritime Museum here to Kevin Sumption for vampire, since the father or mother of vampire with us in Greece, and also to officers of the Royal Australian Navy, since the ships Parramatta, Perth, Stuart, and Yara was in our Greek territorial waters, the blue Aegean Sea. The only message that I would like to pass to you is for the Presidential Guard and to tell you what it means for me, this Presidential Guard. Sorry for the emotion, like the Archbishop that was not able to tell 4 sentences for the Guard, so I'll try to do. For me as young Greek was the Nazi propaganda photos, and for this before with the General have been to the Jewish Museum to underline this link of the Anzac Jewish faith people in Greece. There is the Nazi motorized platoon with the plate Thermopylae and some dead soldiers in the Eurasian. When I was young, I was thinking as British. Now I know that to be New Zealanders and Australians. The Nazis coming in the city. The Archbishop Damaskinos did not accept to be part of the admission committee. the Nazi motorized platoon pass in front of the monument of the unknown soldier. They are going to the Holy Cross of the Acropolis, where the Presidential Guard is going every Sunday to go up and down the Greek flag. And a few minutes before, the Greek soldier jumped with the Greek flag from the Holy Rock of Acropolis. The Nazi flag is going up, and after, you know what is the story of 5 years, including the Holocaust, one of the Thessaloniki Jewish community. And after 5 years, the Prime Minister in exile, George Papadreou, with the Allies, including the Australians, coming back to the Holy Rock, and they put up the Greek flag when the Nazi flag went down the day before. I would like to mention that all Anzacs came in Greece, and all Australians and New Zealanders visited this Holy Rock. This is very important, this photo of Cheryl that I thank, not only for the last year, for also for this year. All Nazi soldiers, 150,000 Nazi soldiers visited Acropolis. Us, all the Australians, only the 50,000. The footprint of the 50,000 stayed in the soul and heart of us as Greece, and the other footprints disappeared because it was not based on our values of democracy, rule of law, and human rights. I would like to repeat what Mr. Atrotakis always told me when I arrived here. These are Australian stories in Greece, very important for all of us. Ένα μεγάλο ευχαριστώ σε όλους μας, σε όλους σας, και να έχουμε καλή Ανάσταση σε λίγες μέρες. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. I would like to invite the General Katsogiannis now in order that we deliver the Averov flags. And if I would like also to request to Alf to come with us. So the first flag is for the fleet commander. So I would like to invite his representative to receive it. So the two first flags, the flags going to the fleet commander and to the museums here for the vampire, they are flags that Averov had during his service. The other flags was when he was decommissioned. Thank you, sir. It's a big size.
Thank you, sir. It's a great honour.
So we hope that the Admiral has enough space in his office to put this flag on the headquarters. So it's a great honor for us, the Averov, who spent so many time together with the Anzac ships in Limnos, in Alexandria, everywhere, to stay with you. So the second flag was smaller size, but also is a flag of Averov during his military and combat service. It's offered to Kevin Sumption in order to be put in SMAS Vampire, which is here in the museum. After we have from one representative of the Royal Australian Navy for HMAS Parramatta. Also to have enough place in the officers club in the ship to put this a great honor for us. After we have the representative of the Royal Australian Navy for HMAS Perth. And also to share with you that 2 days ago, the 6 NSW Premier Anzac Ambassador students visit Stavros. They are now in Greece. They visit Athens, Limnos, Crete, and after they will fly for France and Belgium. So we have Parramatta, we have Perth, now we have Stuart. So the representative for HMS Stuart, please. And the list is not last represented for HMAS Yara, please.
Please put your hands together again and thank the Consul General, all the representatives from each of the ships, Alf Carpenter, the Lieutenant General from Greece. It now gives me great pleasure to call on Bill Kotsolovos, the President of the Greek RSL, to give the Ode of Remembrance.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to ask you to be abstending, please, for the Ode of Remembrance. Ladies and gentlemen, at this hour, we pause in remembrance of our fallen comrades. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old as would that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget. Ποτέ δεν θα γεράσουν. Εμείς μείναμε για να γεράσουμε. Η ηλικία δεν θα τους φθείρει, ούτε θα καταδικαστούν από τα χρόνια. Σε κάθε ηλιοβασίλεμα και στην χαραυγήν θα τους τιμόμαστε. Αιώνια τους η μνήμη.
Please put your hands together and thank the Greek Presidential Guard for being with us here tonight and for their time here in Sydney to help us celebrate the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Crete.
Αγρίμια και γκριμάκια μου, αγρίμια και γκριμάκια μου, λαφιά, λαφιά μου μερωμένα, να μερωμένα, πεστε μου που είναι το, πεστε μου πού είναι η τόπη σας. Πεστε μου πουν οι τόποι σας, πεστε μου πουν οι τόποι σας. Πουνε μα πουνε η μαδιά σας τα χει, μαδιά σας κρεμνάνε μαζί το, κρεμνάνε μαζί το πιμάς. Κρεμνάνε μας οι τόποι μας, κρεμνάνε μας οι τόποι μας. Λες και λες και στάχει η μαδιά μας στάχει, μαδιά μας τα σπηλιαράκια του, τα σπηλιαράκια του βουνού. Τα σπηλιαράκια του βουνού, τα σπηλιαράκια του βουνού είναι, να είναι τα γονικά μας, τα γονικά μας, αγρίμια και άγριμα, αγρίμια και αγριμάκια μου.